Fox 61 News at 10 starts now.
And right now at 10, looking for solutions to the opioid epidemic. We'll find out why something called harm reduction is being considered as a way to save lives.
It'd be nice to have more rain. I mean, my lawn is burnt to a crisp here.
People in one Connecticut city facing an extreme drought being asked to conserve water tonight. We'll tell you how big the problem is.
And caught on camera tonight, local officers talked to a man threatening to jump from a very tall building. It's the second time first responders have recently had to answer a call just like this. But first on Fox 61, state leaders are looking for more ways to prevent overdoses and deaths during an ongoing opioid epidemic. Good evening. I'm Sarah Sanchez.
And I'm Ben Goldman. Thanks for joining us here tonight. Tomorrow is International Overdose Awareness Day. One tool that advocates say could save lives is something called harm reduction. Fox 61's Gabby Molina joining us live in studio tonight to tell us what that is and how it may help. Gabby?
Well, Ben, Sarah, harm reduction is not just one strategy. It's a set of strategies aimed at reducing the negative effects of drug use. Part of that is safer or managed use, and that can look a number of different ways. But tonight, I talked to advocates about overdose prevention centers and what that would look like in Connecticut. The opioid epidemic continues to take lives every single day. In Connecticut alone, there were 1,524 drug overdose deaths in 2021. In the search for answers on how to try to stop this, advocates of overdose prevention centers want their voices heard.
An overdose prevention center is just in line with how we treat every other illness in America. It's basically just playing catch up to the accepted standard for treating any other type of patient.
Dr. Daniel Karakis is a surgery resident at Yale New Haven Hospital. He's calling for Connecticut to take the lead on opening these centers. The concept is they provide a clean, safe space for people to use drugs, with staff on hand ready to step in to prevent an overdose. Right now, they only exist in the U.S. and New York City, but have existed in other countries for years.
There are over 100 of these worldwide, and they've been operational since 1986. And there have been 0 deaths due to opioid overdose in one of these centers. It decreases overdoses, it decreases the number of regional ambulance calls, it decreases the number of infections.
What does exist in our state are harm reduction facilities and syringe service programs, like the Drop in Hartford, run by the Connecticut Harm Reduction Alliance.
Naloxone, education around fentanyl test strips. Again, it's a non-judgmental space.
Advocates say some of the concerns they often hear is that overdose prevention centers would encourage drug use or that they would bring crime to an area, and that the idea of something like this is just uncomfortable to many. But they say other approaches haven't worked, and it may be time to try something new.
These are public health responses. The most effective public health responses are not favorable. We're failing, and it's primarily because of fear. We have to think outside the box.
Now, right now, there is no proposal to bring these centers to Connecticut, but the state legislature's Public Health Committee did hold an informational hearing on them just last month. Coming up on the news at 11, how fentanyl is leading to a large percentage of opioid deaths here in Connecticut, and how officials say it's getting into the U.S. In the studio, I'm Gabby Molina, Fox 61 News.
All right, thank you, Gabby. Turning now to the weather, we got to look at the forecast with Chief Meteorologist Rachel Frank. Rachel, tracking some showers out there tonight.
Yay! We love the sound of showers as we're going to bed, especially when we're talking about a drought situation, right? So let's zoom in and show you what's going on. Now, let me tell you, 6 hours ago, this line was filled with severe thunderstorms, heavy downpours, but now as it gets closer to the state, it is starting to weaken somewhat, but we will take whatever we can get at this point. Seeing some showers right now, heavier downpour here right around Norfolk. This is going to be heading towards Colebrook here within the next 15 minutes or so. And if we take a look a little bit farther south, you'll see an area of more widespread, steady, heavier rain. Right now, it's moving more north than east, but eventually we should be able to bring some of that into at least northwestern Connecticut. So we'll see how we do. Again, it is going to generally tend to weaken as it pushes in. So here's a look at the future radar as we head throughout the next hour or two. Some rain moving into parts of western Connecticut. It will take until the pre-dawn hours, though, to reach eastern areas, and it is all gone by the time you wake up tomorrow morning, if you are waking up around or after sunrise. And then the rest of the day will feature clearing skies and falling levels of humidity. Right now we're looking at temperatures that are in the 70s, right around 80 degrees for the New Haven area. Clouds break for sun. It's still warm. Highs in the low to mid 80s tomorrow and turning more comfy. You're feeling that change around this time tomorrow night, and even more refreshing air for later this week. We'll talk about it, your full forecast, and looking ahead to the weekend coming up.
All right, Rachel, thank you. After at least 2 weeks of an extreme drought in eastern Connecticut, the utility company in Norwich is now asking people living there to try and conserve water.
Norwich Public Utilities are facing low reservoir levels with not much rain in the forecast this week. Fox 61's Alicia Machado joins us live in Norwich tonight to explain how severe the situation is. Alicia.
Well, Ben and Sarah, Norwich Public Utilities is asking customers to reduce water usage by 10% with this lack of rain. As you said, they're expecting reservoir levels to dip below 70% by the end of the week.
Norwich neighbors waiting for a gift from Mother Nature.
It'd be nice to have more rain. I mean, my lawn is burnt to a crisp here.
But in the meantime, they're being asked to conserve. Norwich Public Utilities issuing a water supply warning and encouraging residents to reduce their water usage by 10% due to the ongoing drought and lack of rain. Neighbors we spoke with are willing to comply.
I'm all right with it. Got to deal with it. I mean, everyone. You know, I've seen some people water their lawns that I wanted to stop and say something.
I'm willing to conserve water. We're in a drought right now. I understand.
For now, the conservation measures are voluntary, but NPU wants to avoid a mandatory reduction. The utility company provides water to 11,000 customers with 2 reservoirs. Right now, those reservoirs are at about 72% of their capacity. NPU's spokesperson says they haven't seen levels this low since 2016.
It's a collective effort that's going to get us through this.
New London County is currently dealing with moderate to severe drought conditions. NPU asking residents to limit their non-essential water use.
If you can take a shorter shower, if you can only use your washing machine or dishwasher with a full load, if you can hold off on washing your car.
Now, with current reservoir levels, the spokesperson says that they would have enough water supply for around 228 days, adding that a lot of rain over a short period of time would make a difference. We're live in Norwich tonight. Alicia Machado, Fox 61 News.
Thank you, Alicia. And new at 10, a Naugatuck police officer is injured tonight after the driver of a stolen vehicle crashes into a police cruiser. Police say it happened on Elm Street this afternoon. After hitting the cruiser, the person in the stolen vehicle ran away but was quickly taken into custody. The officer in that police cruiser was taken to a hospital with minor injuries.
Well, new at 10 tonight, a New Britain man will spend more than 15 years in prison for assaulting a family member during an argument about the volume of a television. The New Britain State's attorney says Kenneth Bozeman was sentenced today after a jury found him guilty of second-degree assault. Evidence showed that back in November of 2020, Bozeman pulled a handgun and repeatedly hit the 39-year-old victim in the face until a 76-year-old relative in the same home stopped that attack. We do have an update to some breaking news we brought you last night here on the News at 10. Police identifying the man who drowned while swimming in the East Mountain Reservoir in Waterbury. 41-year-old Jamie Ward was found after the Waterbury Fire Department used multiple boats and a dive team to search for him. Ward was pronounced dead at the scene. The incident still remains under investigation.
Well, you may remember a recent story. New Haven first responders saved a woman who wanted to take her own life. She was threatening to jump from the roof of a parking garage. Well, the fire and police departments have teamed up again to help someone else. They were called to Court Street on August 20th. This is New Haven police body cam video showing this encounter with a man sitting in a 12th floor window threatening to jump.
Essentially, the encounter lasted almost an hour and a half and was resolved without incident. The officers and the FD together both saved this man's life, and what was interesting is that they were not only getting the help he needed, but they also bought the man breakfast afterwards.
The assistant chief credits the excellent training the police department and the fire department regularly receive.